welcome. Call me slow on the uptake if you wish, but I've only just found out that Netflix gives you free games for your mobile phone or your tablet. I genuinely had no idea. You're going to be looking at now a video showing you a list of games available on Netflix. Obviously, if you want to pause it or whatever, go for it. And I couldn't believe how many there were, including some recognisable titles. It's got to be worth investigating. I pay for Netflix anyway, so these are free. And there's one on there which is very recognisable and something I'm really keen to play. So, I think there's only one thing for it. Let's download half a dozen games, good little selection, see what they're like, see if it's any good or not. Maybe Netflix is the new home for gaming. I mean, probably not, but it might be. And first game we're going to look at is Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon. Now, I was a little bit disappointed it wasn't the full version of the game, but it's something different. As you can see, you've got a grid which you're playing on. It reminds me a little bit of sort of Tetris or maybe Dr. Mario. The idea is you get a group of things together, hit them with your shovel, and you can collect additional weapons as you go, such as spears and swords, and get rid of them as quick as you can. The enemies, which in this case are the bug-looking things, and the things with skulls for helmets or heads, they do deal damage to you every time you hit them. But as you can see, there's lots of potions here. They're health restoring potions, so as long as you keep an eye on your health and you make sure that you collect a potion with each hit, you're okay. Obviously, as you go through the game, there'll be less potions and you'll have to strategically destroy enemies without dying. You also need to collect keys, which will unlock the treasure chests. These will give you better weapons, which do more damage, power-ups, things like that. I've got to be honest with you, this isn't really my type of game. It's not bad, and as a mobile game it does work well, but it's just not for me. So I don't want to pass judgment on it just because it's not my type of game, but people who do like this sort of thing might really enjoy it. It is what it is. It's probably my least favourite on this list, but let me know if you think it could be for you, and if you think it looks fun or not. There is a story with this game. In between the levels, as you can see here, you can wander around various places, go in and out of different levels, and you can also talk with NPCs. I didn't play the game anywhere near long enough to get into the story, but if it's as good as the proper version of the game, that could make it worth playing. Next up, we have Slayaway Camp 2, heavily inspired by things like the Friday the 13th series. At its heart, it's basically a puzzle game. I've actually sped the footage up a little bit for this video just so you can see a bit more, as being a puzzle game, it doesn't move that fast. The idea is you're going around as the killer, and you need to capture and kill the campmates without them escaping off screen. You can rewind it if you make a mistake, as you've seen I did already, and it's actually very entertaining. I like the art style, I think it looks really good. The more you progress, because I have played it a bit more since capturing this footage, the more and more difficult the puzzles get to keep you engaged. You can also unlock bonus levels, additional masks, skins, things like that. And just for passing the time in little 5-minute bouts, this is actually a pretty good, entertaining game. So much so that I've actually kept it on my iPad after downloading it for this video. So if you like short puzzle games, this is one I can recommend. Moving on, we now have Transformers Forged to Fight. And visually, this is probably the most impressive that I played. The idea here is that you play as the Autobots. You've crash landed on a random planet and need to find resources to repair your ship and get out of there. But oh no, the Decepticons just happen to be there as well. So you're going to argue over the resources. The way you argue is you go and fight them one-on-one, beat-em-up style. You start off with Optimus Prime, but you can unlock further characters as you go. The touchscreen controls on this, for the most part, work quite well. I did find myself moving backwards and forwards unnecessarily on occasion, but for the most part, it worked all right. It's initially quite good fun, I've got to say. I enjoyed finding out about the different fighting mechanics, things like your special moves, heavy, medium and light attacks, and it starts off relatively easily, as you'd expect for most games as well. Unfortunately, as you progress through the game, you find out that it is just ripe for trying to get you with those nasty microtransactions. As you can see just there, you move along the map and go into different battles as you progress. But for each level, there's a certain amount of encounters. Obviously, they get more difficult and more plentiful as you progress in the game. But you can only repair in between fights with power-ups, or repair kits I think they're called in this case. Now you can earn them through winning battles, absolutely, but very quickly you'll find that you don't have enough, and the only way to get them is to spend gems. And how do you get gems? Well, again, you can collect them throughout the game, but they're not very plentiful, so you have to use real-world money. And after you've gone through the first 3, maybe 4 levels if you're particularly good at the game, you hit a paywall, where you're either going to have to spend real-world money to get the repair kits to continue and beat the level, or stop playing. And I absolutely despise microtransactions, especially when they're forced upon you like that. So for me, this is a no-no, just purely because of the microtransaction traps that it puts you in. Which is a shame, because this could have been a really good, fun, entertaining game set in the Transformers world, something I particularly like, but they ruined it by being greedy. I'd avoid this one personally. Let's move on to Into the Dead 2. This is probably my second favourite one that I played. For starters, I didn't come across any microtransactions. I'm not saying they're not there, I'm saying I haven't come across any, and I've played it for quite a bit. As you can see, it's a zombie run and gun. So you can't control how fast your character moves forward, but you can move him left and right, and obviously you control the shooting. The idea is that you're trying to get from point A to point B. You can see in the top left-hand corner how far you've got to go without dying. Once you get past the first few levels, you can take a companion with you who is a dog. There's various different canines you can unlock as you go throughout. This is the starter dog you see in here. The green glowy things I'm running over are ammo crates because, yes, ammunition is very much limited. To increase the challenge there, you can take a primary weapon and a backup weapon with you, and you get free reign to choose from the ones you unlock as you continue to play. I really like this. Graphically, again, I feel very much impressed by the game. It gives you a challenge at the beginning of each level. There's usually 6 of them, I believe. And it can be anything from get X amount of kills with a certain style of gun or a certain style of ammunition, to collect a melee weapon such as a garden strimmer or a chainsaw and kill X amount of zombies with it before it runs out of fuel. You can also find mounted guns, and again you'll get challenges to kill X amount of zombies with that. You get 1 knife per level. As you can see, I just used mine there. So when a zombie grabs you, if you've got your knife, you can tap, tap, tap away at the screen, and it will kill the zombie, enabling you to escape. However, if you've used your knife already, that's how you die. The more you progress, you get various different levels of zombie, which will take more bullets to kill them, but you can upgrade your weapons and things. The idea of completing the challenges that you get on each level is it earns you gold. This you can use to upgrade your individual weapons, and you can also upgrade your canine companion. It's a good, fun little game. It's got a half-decent story. It's very much a basic premise. You're the hero trying to get to your family, and each time you start and end a level, you'll see him talking on the walkie-talkie to his loved ones, discussing what their situation is, how dire it is. They make it sound obviously quite urgent, like you need to get there as quick as you can. It works. It's basic, but it works. My favourite thing about it is actually not the main story. You get a daily run, which you can do, and you have to kill X amount of zombies to gain the rewards, which is, of course, gold to upgrade your weapons and your dogs. I like the side missions because I got to a stage where I unlocked a Ghostbusters side mission. Now, the characters aren't voiced by the original voice actors, and the likenesses are quite poor. I'm guessing that's on purpose, some sort of copyright thing. But it's really good fun. I'm personally a sucker for anything Ghostbusters, and getting a Proton Pack and playing a game, especially a free game, on mobile, it's just brilliant to me. The mechanics stick to the same as this, with the running and the gunning, but I already like the game, so getting a Ghostbusters side quest, I found that really enjoyable. and I have unlocked some further ones as I've gone as well. I haven't played them yet because I haven't completed the Ghostbusters one, and as I said, I'm a sucker for anything Ghostbusters. But it gives you a really good variety. This is a game, again, I would happily recommend to anybody to try. It's quite addictive gameplay. As much as it's simple, it works perfectly, and I'm really impressed by this. So bravo Netflix, and bravo whoever made this game.
Son of a bitch. Here he comes.
Next we have the game that I initially played and that inspired this video. It's called Tomb Raider Reloaded. Now, if you've seen any of my other videos, you'll know that I am a real big fan of the Tomb Raider franchise. It's definitely one of, if not my favourite gaming franchise of all time. Anything Lara Croft, I'm there. So when I saw this, I had to have a go. And unfortunately, it's my most disappointing game that I've played so far. And by far as well. The gameplay itself isn't terrible. It's very simple, but it works quite well. You're Lara Croft in an isometric view. You control her movements, and when she's still, she automatically fires at the nearest enemy. I'm in a minor little boss battle here, as you can see. It's okay, it works fine. Obviously, with the limitations of controls with mobile gaming and touch screens, they didn't do a terrible job. They've made it a bit roguelike, so between each little part, your health doesn't regenerate, so you can keep going as long as you can until you die. At certain random points, you will meet somebody who can grant you some health replenishment. It's alright. It does get very repetitive very quickly. The environments are very repetitive, and they could have done a lot better. I don't know if anybody watching this ever played Lara Croft Go, which came out a good few years ago now for mobile, but that was actually a really good mobile game. It was a lot better than this, and it's older. But my main complaint, my biggest complaint by far, is again just how much it is loaded towards microtransactions. As I've discussed with the previous games, they're not loaded with them. I dare say there's options to pay for things if you wanted to. I haven't looked for them because I don't want to. But this is just loaded to the brim with them. Every time you go to replay a level, it's saying, do you want to buy this crate, etc, etc. It just really spoilt it for me. And like many games loaded this way, you can only go so far and only get so much of the experience till you put your hand in your pocket. And it's not even that great an experience. It might be, I expect, the highest of the highest standards for Tomb Raider because I like it so much, because I've got such fondness for the franchise. But this really let Lara down. Not a fan of this one at all. And finally, we have what I consider to be the best game that I found on Netflix. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. And from what I can tell, this is actually the full game, which, if it is amazing, because you're getting a £20 to £25 game, that's minimum price I can find it for as well, for free. It's been absolutely lauded by the critics, said it was an amazing game, which it is, and it's free. I was really blown away when I spotted this and couldn't wait to play it, and I have put in literal hours. I haven't completed it yet because, well, I lack talent, but it's just amazing. Absolutely stupendous game. I haven't come across any microtransactions. As I've said before, I'm not saying there aren't any, because if you look for them, I'm sure you'd find them, but I didn't come across a single one. The touchscreen controls work as well as I feel they could do for a touchscreen controlled beat-em-up game. However, I recently purchased, for about 10 quid from AliExpress, a Backbone-style controller, which you can also just use as a normal controller and link it via Bluetooth to your iPad if you want a bigger screen, which I prefer. And that was game-changing for me. That felt like I was playing this on a console. It was no different to playing it as if I had it on my Switch in tabletop mode or just on a small iPad-sized television. I cannot praise this game enough. I'm not going to go into too much about it because I think at this stage everybody's already said how wonderful Shredder's Revenge is. But to get the full experience for free through Netflix, kind of makes your subscription worth it alone. I mean, this game, I just had a look on eBay, is about 25 quid second hand. That's roughly half my monthly Netflix subscription cost, which makes it a bargain all on its own without the telly side of things. Couldn't believe this was on there. Absolute bargain just because it is. I adore this game because I do like the Turtles. It's based on the late 80s, early 90s cartoon, which is, of course, the best TMNT cartoon ever. The one I grew up watching and still enjoy watching as an adult in his mid-30s. Can't praise it enough. And like I said, using a cheap Bluetooth controller, and if you don't want to go and buy one specifically, you can, of course, use a PS4 controller or an Xbox controller that you may already have. It's just like playing it on console. Absolutely loved it. And little side note, if you want to see my video reviewing that cheap controller, I'll put it out on Monday and I'll pop a link on the end screen. But yeah, this one, 10 out of 10. Cowabunga, dudes. So what did you think of the little selection there? Obviously, I'm not going to play all 50 I think there are. Some of them don't look appealing to me anyway, so I won't be able to give a fair review. I purposely chose games that I actually wanted to play to give it the best chance. A couple of them I was a bit disappointed in. That Shovel Knight mobile game I didn't realise was a mobile specific game. I thought it was the full version, which was a shame. But it was alright. That's not my cup of tea with games, as I said, but it's alright if you like that sort of thing. The Transformers game, it looked great and it played quite well, but I could see that being a black hole of microtransactions. It's going to be asking for money for you to get through that one, I think. But it was alright. The Jason Voorhees style Friday the 13th one, that was a good little puzzle game. I've actually kept that one. I'm going to play that a little bit more. It's just a couple of, 30 second, 60 second little level each that you can play. I think that looked okay to me. It was quite good fun. I liked the animation style. Tomb Raider, that was a massive disappointment. I love Tomb Raider. It's one of my favourite franchises of all time. And that just wasn't very good, if I'm honest. The zombie game, that was quite good fun. Very simplistic. And the standout's got to be Shredder's Revenge. That was a full version of the game. I really enjoyed that. Now, I didn't enjoy the touchscreen controls, I've got to be honest. But, holding my hand up, I don't really like touchscreen controls in general. That's why I don't play a lot of mobile games. But, using this, it was just like playing it on my Switch in tabletop mode. And I carried on playing it, and playing it, and playing it. That was a fantastic experience. Once I connected a controller to it, and obviously you don't need to use this, I got this for 10 quid from AliExpress. But you could use any controller, PS4 controller, PS5, Xbox, whatever you choose. And that gave me a full game experience. I really, really enjoyed it. The majority of the games are very much your mobile fare. They're very simplistic. They look very good, I've got to say. The production values in all the games, the graphics were fine, really good actually. But they're just what they are. They're quick little in and out gaming experiences when you've got a minute or two to kill. But that's what you expect with mobile games. As far as they go, it's okay. It's also got on there, as you would have seen from the list earlier, it's got GTA Vice City, GTA 3, and I think it's got San Andreas as well. I know they're on the App Store and have been for quite some time, but you have to pay for them on the App Store. They're free through Netflix as part of your subscription. And I bet they're quite good. So, all in all, is Netflix going to be the new home of gaming? I strongly doubt it. But, if you've got your subscription, is it the place to go to for your mobile games instead of paying for them on the App Store? Probably. Give it a go. Let me know what you think. First of all, let me know if you knew that Netflix did games, because this is brand new news to me, but I appreciate I might just be a bit slow catching up there. Have you played any of the others? Are any of the others good? Give me some recommendations, because I want to carry on exploring it. As always, I love to hear from you, so please don't be shy in the comments. If you want to give this video a thumbs up like, I'd really appreciate that. You could even subscribe if you want to. But the main thing is you've watched. You know I really appreciate it. I say it every video because I genuinely mean it. And until next time, I'm going to see you soon. Ta-da for now.